which is the FizzBuzz test. So this is, or used to be, a challenge that some software developers would have thrown at them during a job interview to determine if they could actually write code. So this was developed by Imran Gori, and then Jeff Atwood tended to popularize this a little bit with different methods for solving the issue here. So the description is: write a program that prints the numbers from 1 to 100, but for multiples of 3, print the word fizz instead of the number, and for the multiples of 5, print buzz. Then for numbers that are multiples of both 3 and 5, print FizzBuzz. Then output your results as a console log. Like I mentioned here, there are numerous websites that show solutions to this. I'd really like it for you guys to attempt this on your own and apply some of what we've already learned so far when we've been looking at loops and conditions, just to give it a shot. Make sure you're really thinking and applying, reading the example here. It might even be helpful for you guys to put into the comments what this should look like. So when we say something is a multiple of 3, that means it's going to be 3 times some other number. So if we just do a test here, I'm going to say let FizzBuzz sample equal, and I'm going to do an array here that shows us what we expect for the output. So I'm going to put in a comment here. So this is our expected output. So the first value, 1 is not divisible by 3 or 5 or 3 and 5. So we would say 1, and then 2 is going to be the same because it's not divisible by 3 or 5. But then we have 3. So if we were to say 3, we actually want that to equal fizz. So I'm going to switch my comment around here. So 3 is fizz. And then 4 doesn't fit our pattern here. Then 5 is divisible by 5. So anything that's divisible or multiple of 5 is going to say buzz. And then we're going to go to 6. So 6 is divisible by 3. 3 times 2 is 6. So we're going to say fizz. And then 7. Then 8. Then we get to 9. So 9 is actually divisible by 3, so we're going to say fizz. And then 10 is divisible by 5, so we're going to say buzz. And then 11 is not divisible by 3 or 5. Then 12. So 12 is going to be divisible by 3, so it's going to be a buzz. And then 13 is not, 14 is not, then 15. So 15 is divisible by 3 and 5, so we're going to say fizz buzz. So that's ultimately what we want to see when we start to output this in the console. So that's our goal. And in order to reach this goal, we want to do some logic here. So first off, we want to set up a loop. So we're going to say for, and then our conditions, and then our expression here. So we're going to say I equals 0, and we're going to say I less than 100, and we'll say 100, and I minus minus. So since we're, let's see, I guess it doesn't make a difference here. So if we're counting up from 1 to 100, we'll say plus plus here. So that is going to be our loop. Looks like this. And then our logic is going to be something like if number divisible by 3, say fizz else if number divisible by 5, say buzz, else number divisible by 3 and 5, say FizzBuzz. So there's our pseudo code. I'm going to copy that, comment it out there, and then we'll start writing the real thing here. So we want to say if in our criteria. So we're going to say if I is divisible, so if it's a multiple, it's going to be that. If it's divisible by 3, that would mean it should not have any remainder. So we would say I, then modulus 3 is exactly 0. We want to console.log fizz. And then we're going to say else if. So there's fizz, else if I modulus 5 is strictly equal to 0. So the remainder, when we divide 5 into 10, or sorry, 5 into 10, nothing left. So no decimals or fractions happening there. We're going to say console.log buzz. Then we want to identify the 3 and the 5 divisible. So we're going to say else and our logic here. So we'll copy, paste our FizzBuzz first. Then in the logic here, we want both 3 and 5 divisible. So we're going to say I percent 3 double ampersands and I percent 5 equal 0. Then say FizzBuzz. And then any other case, we're just going to output the number. So it's going to be console.log I. So let's see what we end up with here. So that's our example. And copy this out, paste this into a console, cross our fingers, and we get an error on line 10. So looks like we have an extra bracket here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So we've got a bracket here, got a bracket here. So we open and close that, else if, condition, bracket, let's say buzz, else, condition. Okay, so let's try our else if here, and then our else will be our last ditch effort with the console. So let's try this one more time. And what do we have? So we've got fizz happening on 0, which is not good. We'll ignore that for a minute. So we probably want to start, actually we'll start the list on 1. So I can come back here in the console, hit up arrow, change I equals 0 to I equals 1. Then we should have 1, 2 fizz. That matches our pattern here. Then we have 4. Then we have buzz. Then we have fizz for 5. And then we have 7, 8. FizzBuzz. 11 fizz. 12 buzz is not working right. So let's just double check. 9 should be fizz, 10 should be buzz, 11, and then 12 should be buzz, but we've got fizz happening here. And then 14, 15, 15 says fizz as well. So maybe our most complex condition needs to move up to be the first argument here. So we'll break this thing apart real quick here. I'm going to say if that, then FizzBuzz. So that's going to start here, and then end here, and then else if. So we've got else if that. So if it's 3 and 5 equal to 0, then console FizzBuzz. Else if 3, do that. Else if 5, do that. Else if number. So let's copy that out and give that a shot. Okay, so now I see some FizzBuzzes, but not on 15. So I've got a FizzBuzz on 8, 9, 10. So 10 is saying FizzBuzz. Okay, so looks like we might need some orders of operations here. So why don't we just say this like that, and this like that. So if that, actually, let's try this. And include that. So if we've got our order of operations in here, that might actually clear that up for us. Copy that, paste. See some FizzBuzzes. And there we go. So we got fizz on 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is a buzz, 15 is a FizzBuzz. Down here, let's look at 90. It's divisible by 3 or by 5. And I think we're good. So you can see it's just a process of planning out what you want to see, and then piecing together the logic you want to use. And again, sometimes it's beneficial just to write some bogus pseudocode here so that at least you can say what you want the code to do, and then go through the process of building that code. So we could output all this in console log. We could actually go another step further and output it to the page, but I will leave that up to you guys. So this is FizzBuzz.